Your savings are not disappearing. They are being pulled into rooms you refuse to look at. You open your banking app, see a balance that should be higher, and your brain instantly writes a softer story. It was groceries. It was stress. It was just a few little things. But the numbers know something else. Somewhere between payday and month end, you know clipped out of your plan, like a game character glitching through a wall and landing outside the map. The terrifying part is not that you spend. Everyone spends. The terrifying part is that some purchases happen before you feel fully awake. By the time you notice, the money is gone, the guilt is loud, and the same hallway is waiting next month. That is the trap. In May 2019, an anonymous 4chan post gave this feeling a horror name. The Backrooms, a place described as about 600 square miles of yellow rooms, damp carpet, buzzing lights, and something unseen nearby. It spread because emptiness can feel alive. A budget can feel the same. On paper, it is categories, dates, and totals. In real life, it is shame, boredom, status, grief, loneliness, and the fear of being ordinary. Money has ghosts. The famous Backrooms image had a painfully normal origin. It came from a former furniture store in Oshkosh, photographed during a 2002 renovation into a hobby town, posted on a renovation blog in 2003. Then rediscovered 16 years later. That is how spending habits work. Something ordinary gets stored, distorted, and returns years later as an automatic choice. You think you are making a decision, but sometimes you are only walking into a room built long ago, and the room remembers you. Liminal spaces feel disturbing because they look built for people, but the people are gone. Empty malls, closed offices, school corridors after dark. They are not obviously dangerous, but your brain expects life there. When it finds silence instead, it invents a threat. Emotional spending works through the same gap. You expected comfort, connection, control, or relief. Instead, you got a package, a receipt, and a smaller balance. The exit was fake. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, online images of empty spaces became strangely nostalgic. They looked like memories that had lost their owners. It was not just about monsters. It was recognition. People knew the feeling of wandering through something familiar yet wrong. In personal finance, this is the almost normal purchase. The coffee after a brutal meeting. The delivery meal after loneliness hits. The upgraded phone because everyone else seems ahead. None of these feel irrational inside the moment. They feel like exits. But many exits lead into another room. In January 2022, Kane Parsons, known as Kane Pixels, was only 16 when he uploaded a Blender animated short called The Backrooms Found Footage. It used a 1990s VHS style, partly to hide CGI limits, but the limitation became atmosphere. The camera followed someone lost, chased, and eventually consumed by the space. Within a month, he released 4 more uploads. Across the series, 22 episodes helped reach around 250 million views. Tiny leaks become architecture. That is the financial warning. A single emotional purchase rarely ruins you, but repeated enough, it becomes a system, a ritual, a hallway, and one day you are not buying the thing anymore. You are feeding the room. The Backrooms story later grew around Async, a research company studying a doorway into the complex. Explorers were warned not to enter alone. In the web series, groups of at least 3 were recommended. That rule matters for money too. People make worse decisions in isolation. Shame loves secrecy. Credit card debt grows best behind closed doors. The room hates witnesses. In the film's world, one recording is dated June 19, 1990. It is labeled as the 446th survey. Another key timestamp appears on June 29, 1990, 10 days later. That detail matters because time feels unstable inside the complex. Financial stress does the same thing. 1 week of avoidance becomes 3 months of unopened statements. 1 missed payment becomes a pattern. The calendar keeps moving, but the mind stays trapped at the first mistake. A strange detail in the story involves power. The real-world furniture store has high electricity bills and unexplained outages. Something hidden seems to be drawing energy. That is the perfect image for modern money leaks. Subscriptions, convenience fees, interest, delivery charges, late penalties. They do not look dramatic. They just hum in the background until the balance is drained. The bill was proof. The film's main figure, Clark, runs a failing furniture store called Captain Clark's Ottoman Empire. He has overdue bills, abandoned dreams of architecture, and a divorce he cannot process. His store is empty. His pride is full. He wants to prove he is still important, so he drags others into the space beneath his business. This is where emotional spending turns dangerous. It is not only about wanting things, it is about identity. Clark cannot admit loss, so he chases proof. Many people do the same with money. They buy to prove they are successful. They overspend to avoid feeling behind. They treat criticism like attack, then call the purchase self-care. The purchase becomes evidence. The receipt becomes armor. The balance becomes the price of not feeling small. In 2023, A24 announced a feature with Parsons attached to direct at 17. The screenplay was delayed by the 2023 writers' strike and completed in 2025. Casting happened in summer 2025. Filming took place in Vancouver, and the release followed less than a year later. The production built 30,000 square feet of physical backroom sets. Your financial maze is not imagined because it is emotional. It can be measured. Square footage becomes dollars. Shame becomes interest. Avoidance becomes a statement balance. And the longer you refuse to look, the more real the maze becomes. One haunting object in the film is a mirrored no-credit sign. The backrooms copies reality, but gets details wrong. That is exactly how the brain copies old lessons about money. We could never afford that. Rich people are safer. If I do not buy it now, I will miss my chance. These beliefs may come from childhood, rejection, poverty, status pressure, or fear. Later they appear inside ordinary choices, but backwards. The sign was warning you. The story also uses the Voyager Golden Record, which carried greetings in 55 languages into space. It was humanity sending a message into the unknown. Spending can be a message too. Sometimes a purchase says, "Notice me." Sometimes it says, "I survived today." Sometimes it says, "I want to be someone else." If you only track amounts, you miss the language underneath. You may know what you spent, but you still do not know what the spending was trying to say. Clark's therapist, Mary, talks about loops. Habits once protected you, then became prisons. A child who lacked control may grow into an adult who buys control. Someone who felt invisible may spend to be seen. Someone raised around scarcity may panic purchase because later never felt guaranteed. The behavior looks careless from the outside. Inside, it may feel like survival. Stop before the door. The movie even references a 5150 hold, a California code allowing someone in crisis to be detained if they are dangerous to themselves or others. Most financial behavior is not that extreme, but the question still cuts deep. When does spending stop being preference and start becoming self-harm? When does relief become a trap? Clark keeps returning to the complex because it gives him what reality will not. Inside, he can rewrite people as objects. He can avoid accountability. He can stay angry. That is the nightmare version of emotional finance. The purchase becomes a room where no one can question you. No budget. No partner. No future self. Just a swipe and a moment of silence. But silence sends invoices. The cure is not shame. Shame is another hallway. The cure is naming the room before entering it. I am not hungry. I am depleted. I do not need this cart. I need reassurance. I am not upgrading. I am comparing. It restores choice, and choice is the first exit. The backrooms copies what people bring into it. Money does too. If you bring fear, your budget becomes defensive. If you bring resentment, it becomes rebellion. If you bring denial, it becomes a maze with fluorescent lights and no visible door. There is an exit. Start with one hidden room. Find one recurring charge, one emotional trigger, one purchase you defend too quickly. Do not judge it first. Study it. Ask what it promises. Ask what it costs. Ask why it returns at the same time each month. Saving feels hard because it is not only math. It is memory under pressure. The numbers matter, but the pattern matters more. If you keep walking the same loop, your balance will keep telling the same story. The money was never just leaving your account. It was showing you the room you keep entering. Change the room, or the maze becomes your life.